Hello and welcome again. So today there's going to be not much content about Kubernetes. Actually, I'm kind of tired of talking about Kubernetes. But we need to wrap up this project, and today morning I sent an email as well with a newsletter about the wrap up. So there's a feedback link there. I specifically didn't put it here because to prevent, I don't know, spammers from spamming the feedback quiz. But yeah, everybody who's subscribed to the hackerspace mailing list should have gotten it, and I'm anticipating that people get feedback there about the whole talk series. All of the live streams are up on YouTube. You can check out the old ones there. And some people already asked, like, can I clarify the criteria for the 3-month membership price? So the easiest for me to check is if you have pushed something to Docker registry. That's a very concrete thing to check. Yes, I know it's a very easy thing to do, but if you have done that, then you have already jumped through several hoops, and you should already know how to use kubectl, I suppose. Or at least Docker push, which is like halfway to using kubectl. And the deadline for this could be 5th, because that's when I need to submit the report about how we spent the money for this project. And for the remote membership, you get the access to Kubernetes cluster, and if you want, we can also provide VMs. We haven't automated ordering the VMs, but it's on to-do list. It should be actually very easy to have a button, create the VM, and you get a VM. And in any case, just send email to info@hackerspace.de. For future, hopefully this won't be the end of these live streams, and I actually want to see more people from the space and also from outside the space to come and talk about different things. So, for example, Marco, at least in a chat, mentioned that he would be willing to do a talk on fiber optic networks, specifically EPON networks. I don't know enough about that, but I think that's the one that is used by Enefit in Estonia to do passive fiber networks. For what is it, rural areas, I guess. But I think it's used in the city as well. I don't know. Anyway, that's why I asked him to come and talk about it, because I don't know enough about that. And I think it would be fascinating to listen how they do that with prisms and stuff. Christian has been fiddling here with terminals. And when I say terminal, I mean actually a physical box, not like Xterm, which is a terminal emulator on your machine. I'm talking about physical, real terminals. So he's been fiddling and fixing a bunch of them, and he ended up writing term info definitions, which is like very obscure thing to do. And I think he's the only person who has done that from this community. And I think did he get the book as well?
Yes.
He bought the book. There's a book about term info. So it's like very weird, obscure stuff. And at least once I'm going to ask him and force him to do a talk about this and show stuff. Rasmus has been fiddling. I think Rasmus ended up writing some sort of command line argument parsing library for Go, which is, there's like lots of people using it now or something. I don't know exactly. He said that he would want to talk about that. Again, obscure thing, parsing command line arguments, very oddly specific thing to talk about. So, but anyway, I'm hoping that he will one day come and talk about something about Go. And right before this talk, I managed to get Oleksiy to talk about documentation, how to write good code that is, the self-documenting code, basically.
Not exactly. Mostly having a single source of truth of your project.
Having a single source of truth for your project. Okay, so very sounds very resonates with me a lot. So I definitely would want to hear about that. Arti will come and talk about how to use Git, because even me, I'm a newbie. I don't know how to use branches in Git. So I will need someone else to come and teach me how to use branches properly. And Preet will come and talk about embedded computers. I think Preet has been contributing some driver code into Linux kernel. Yes, he actually has Git commits in the Linux kernel source. Unlike me, I don't actually have any. So he will come and talk about that. And myself, one of the things, we did actually a project last year. Let me show quickly. Where is this? On our YouTube channel. Last year we actually did a project. We documented how we do authentication, how we do virtual networks, how we do email, how do we do help desk. So whenever you actually write to info at hackerspace, it goes to FreeScout. So we kind of documented all of this stuff here, how you can automate stuff. And all of this was with the constraint of having everything self-hosted, which, you know, in many settings maybe doesn't make sense. But if you happen to have that constraint, then how would you do it? And one of the things that didn't fit here was virtualization. We use Proxmox as the hypervisor. And the other topic was storage. I think storage deserves maybe even 2 talks. One would be like a block level storage discussion. The other one would be a file system level discussion. So these are some of the things that I would want to talk about that someday. And some other stuff which might not necessarily be live streamed. We have here quite a few audio files. And I think this deserves maybe 1 talk and one listening event where we can try out different equipment and then test it out. I think we actually did one video about 3D printing, but I think we should do it with better equipment and better lights, because last time it was like in a bat cave, like totally dark. And the same goes for CNC. I think we don't actually have a talk about CNC specifically, but I think there's lots of stuff to talk about, which, you know, how to overcome the sort of psychological block of the whole thing being so complex, but actually it's not that complex. Laser cutting, and yes, Erki is nodding. It's been putting off. How many years did you put off laser cutting? Probably more. But most of the stuff is just, you know, just do it basically. And the reason why I actually lagged sending out this week's newsletter was that I was hoping to announce that we can do a retro LAN party. But the thing is that half of these machines are still semi-dead. Some of them don't boot. Some of them don't work stably. Some of them, they crash. So basically after, like, over these past 2 weeks or 2 months when we have been doing these live streams, after the live streams we've been fixing lots of computers. We've got here something like, I think it's now 8 PCs with CRT displays, DOS Windows 98 era PCs. And we've been fixing them. Lots of interesting experiences, you know, recapping motherboards and replacing dead batteries of the real-time clocks. But it turned out actually much trickier to get them in working order. So I think regarding this whole restoring experience, that's the great thing about YouTube. There are already numerous channels. There's Necroware channel, Lazy Game Reviews. I don't remember the others off the top of my head, but basically these are some of. Sorry? Adrian's Basement. There's so many channels that I've been watching for hours and hours, and lots of interesting projects. And I think due to this whole Corona, there was a sort of explosion in retro PC computing projects. Like Sound Blaster got reverse engineered, and lots of very interesting projects are going on. So I think this thing deserves maybe 1 video just to arouse the interest in people who maybe didn't care about that so far, or why is it so fascinating, or why why are we doing this? Because I get the feeling that sometimes people come in and say, why are they doing this? They don't understand why we're doing this. So I think this deserves another session. And part of that experience also was setting up networking on Windows 9, Windows 3.11. I had never done that. I got it running. I managed to copy files over the network. I have never done that. It was an interesting experience. And Arti suggested a talk on using retro PC as an Arduino, because the retro PCs are quite universal. You can do lots of weird stuff with them. I have a vague memory of making sounds with a bunch of resistors connected to a parallel port of a PC. So that's what was it called? Covox. Covox was called, yes. So yeah, and I put this slide here because I suppose there's definitely some person who started watching the Kubernetes talks and they ended up watching this video as well, and they're like, what the hell is this Kspace? So they had never been here maybe, they're maybe even living in another country. So I think it deserves a slide here and maybe a few words as well. So we're a non-profit organization. This whole thing actually goes back to 2000. The legal body goes back to 2016. We started off as a non-profit org for the robotics club of Estonian IT College. But the informal club actually goes back to 2002 when Margus Ernits started it. So you could say that Kspace is sort of like a successor of that. I'm not sure if Margus approves that interpretation. Yeah, I think he does. So so you could say that this place actually has roots in 2002 in some way, because many of the people that presented the talks have been members of that robotics club. I'm going to mention it in a moment as well. And when IT College merged with Taltech, we started looking for a new place, and that was in 2017. And now we're here in the attic floor of Kubernetica Maja. So it's in the Taltech campus in Tallinn, and we've got about 300, 400 square meters of space here in the attic floor here. So, and if you would have to describe what is Kspace, I guess it's a hybrid of hackerspace, makerspace, co-working space. Well, I would also use now Vintage Computer Club, and in addition to all of the above, we do server hosting as well. And if you're not familiar with hackerspaces and makerspaces, I think just open up Google, search. There's lots of hackerspaces around the world. Many of them have connection to the Chaos Computer Club in Germany. I think some of the spiritual roots are there. But I guess many hackerspaces need to figure out their own way of functioning. How do you do finances? How do you do accounting? What are the responsibility levels of people? What are the commitments of people involved, etc. So I think, like for example, in the robotics club context, we got the venue for free. So we had like 100 square meters of space there in IT College. So like having the rooms for free already is a great benefit, but on the other hand, it somehow limits access for outsiders, even if it's just a psychological limit that why should I go there? I'm not a student of that college. For example, Priit, I think, asked that can I come there? I'm not even a student there. But then I still invited him over, and that's why I think that's why he ended up coming there as well. And yeah, that was also one of the reasons why we came here, just to make it more accessible to other people as well. Yeah, and at the moment, I think we have I think it's back to 60 now, 60 members. But how you would count the members is kind of tricky. I'm going to explain it in a bit as well. One thing what I wanted to mention here as well is that we've got Slack channels. Everybody's free to join the Slack channels. I actually wanted to show here as well. So I posted this in February, that we've got like a bunch of thematic channels that do not require any membership, like maybe most notably 3D printing, CNC channel, laser cutting channel, and then there's like thematic ones like one for ZFS, one for Ceph. So like outsiders are also welcome to come and talk. So you don't have to necessarily be a paying member to join these channels. Let's see. Hello. One of our very old members is visiting again. So outside the scope of these Kubernetes talks, our usual membership options are these. The regular tier is 29 euros per month, which basically grants you access to this floor 24/7. You can come whenever you want, and you can use a locker on the floor. We've got a bunch of lockers, and you can also get a VM for playing around. So we've got lots of computing power in the server room. So we are very happy to give you a slice of the pie. Next tier is associate tier. This is for people who are actually more actively building something here, and this will grant you access to the workshop. So the workshop is a separate room where we have saw benches and a bit more dangerous equipment, and it's separated just to sanity check these people that they don't cut off their fingers. And we've got also a bunch of people on the resident tier, which basically grants you a permanent desk, and you can come and work here on a daily basis. But to make things more confusing, we've got also the member tier, which is now orthogonal to the first three ones. So from purely, even though it's a non-profit organization, you still need to approach it as a company. I mean, you're supposed to have your expenses covered with recurring membership fees. So yes, the most of the people, I would relate to them as let's call them customers or service users. So and for the activists, we have this member tier option, which means that you're legally part of the hackerspace non-profit organization. You have the voting power there. You can run for the board. You can get elected to the board, and but this comes with the obligations as well, which means that we have once per year general assembly. That's üldkoosolek in Estonian. The meeting, yes. Where you can where we take a look at the fiscal report, and that needs to be confirmed by all of the legal members. So yeah, and if I put this into numbers, I think the official members, we have around 10. These are basically activists of the place, and on the other packages there's around, I think, 50 people. So in total it's about 60 people. But some of the people are actually on this business-to-business option, which means that they have either a contract or an invoice-based billing for the services they use. So we've got actually some startups here, most notably, I think Unsinkable Robotics is here, and there's a couple more. Subax and Weiren, and now there's one more. So there's some startups are sort of bootstrapping their stuff here, which is actually one of the things that I wanted to see here for a long time. And now it's actually, I think we're now booked out completely, almost. Which is, again, nice problems to have, exactly. But yeah, if you're interested in this, just reach out to info@hackerspace.de. And I guess now we're actually thinking of maybe we should move to a bigger place. But this needs I think that needs another investment, which I'm not willing to really. I'm not going to contribute that. So the place needs to figure it out by themselves how to finance that. But I think it's a nice problem to have. And I guess this is a good opportunity to thank the people for this Kubernetes Talks project, the presenters. I think all the presenters are in the left-hand column, excluding me, and others who helped out with different stuff. So yeah, thank you all. Also thank you Startup Estonia. And yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, that's the last slide anyway. Next week there's not going to be any live stream, I hope. I'm resting at least. But we want to keep the pace of about 2 live streams per month. So on alternating weeks, we're going to try to do a live stream. But in any case, you're welcome to visit Thursday 6 o'clock. And yes, just write to info@hackerspace.de. So you would have somebody who would show around, and we would know to expect you if you want to come and visit. Also on YouTube, there's a video which instructs how to get to the right door, because when you arrive here after 6 o'clock, you have to use our very custom entrance, which is a bit hidden away. I think that concludes this whole Kubernetes Talks series, and see you again next, I don't know, whenever is the next one. I think that's one thing, one more thing worth to mention is that the calendar, which is on the Hackerspace website, this is all tentative. Most of the people who present stuff, they do it from their spare time, so obviously their own personal priorities come first, and that's why when you look at the calendar, consider it as a tentative schedule, not a full commitment. Full commitment, let's say full commitment comes when the newsletter, when you get the newsletter. So you're going to try to send the newsletter a few days in advance. So even if people get corona or get sick, then there would be enough buffer that, that we don't announce something week before and then the person gets sick. I think like 2 or 3 days in advance is a reasonable buffer. And that's why I am insisting on doing live streams, because if somebody cannot participate on-prem, then they can just rewatch it on YouTube. And I hope this content serves others as well who maybe have no connection to the place or Estonia or whatsoever. Is there any questions or questions on YouTube?
YouTube chat says that you should hype up the other Slack channels.
Other Slack channels?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
to build some FOMO.
Okay. Yes. I mean, what should I do now, or what? Okay. Okay. So I'm going to mention it again that the Slack channels are open for non-members to come and talk. Would be very.
If you are a member.
Yes. So if you're a member, which means that you need to pay something because there's no free lunches. And basically, if you're asking where the money is going to cover the rent, electricity, and yeah, I mean, that's where the subscription fees are going, basically, to cover the rent and electricity. The money from different projects that we do, like the current Kubernetes Talks video, this will basically go to upgrade our infrastructure, get some new tools, get some hardware upgrades, replace some aging hardware. So yeah. For example, in the workshop we have laser cutters. Okay, 1 laser cutter, 2 CNC machines, and now we have actually from the last project money we have metal mill, or how do you call it?
I think that's
Metal mill, metallfräspink. Mill, yes. And no, it's nothing to do with making pancakes. Any more questions? Nope. Yeah, that's it. Sorry if I disappointed with no content, but I think I mentioned it in the newsletter as well. And yeah.
A comment.
Yeah.
I just came from yearly meeting of Estonian information system auditors. It's ISACA and the Estonian chapter of it. And imagine there was a voice there saying that auditors are interested how to audit in a new situation, Kubernetes and things like that. How to consider incidents, for example, in a cloud and related to Kubernetes. So I very much think that this.
So Anto will come and do a presentation how to audit a Kubernetes cluster. Yes.
I have yet to learn it.
But that's a good question as well. Like, how do you audit Kubernetes
cluster?
cluster?
A hot one.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, I think that's it for the YouTube. Let's do bye-bye and see you in another live stream or on-prem or whatever.